Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm here at Apex 2020 and I'm joined by Fram Akiki from Siemens. Thanks for stopping by. Your role is VP, I think, for semiconductor and electronic manufacturing. And that's interesting. I've been talking to a lot of people this week and we're talking a little bit about the blurring of the line between those industries. Is that why you bring those together, and what do you see in terms of that trend?
Yeah, so one definite trend that we're seeing is semiconductors are providing actually a increasing percentage of the value of an overall electronic system. And we see this trend continuing. When you look at certain enabling technologies like artificial intelligence and 5G, a lot of the guts and the smarts for that are being delivered through semiconductors. Another little interesting tidbit on the semiconductor side is looking over the past 12 months, the largest single area of investment that venture capitalism is kind of putting into that industry is around artificial intelligence.
Okay. Yeah.
So greater than $2 billion over the last 12 months into AI startups on semiconductor. And it's, the investments that are going into semiconductor are really driven by the areas that the electronic industry is growing at. Yeah. And sort of vice versa.
Yeah, and I think the AI thing's huge. For me, it's the current space race between China and the US in terms of taking the technical lead. You talk about investment here. There's huge investment in the Shenzhen area in AI as well. What I think is really interesting when you do operate in those two industries and you avoid taking this kind of myopic approach of SMT that sometimes we're guilty of doing at shows like this, is you get to learn from other industries. So when you look at the generation of standards for connectivity, semiconductors been doing that a long time, and the SMT sector can learn from that. Do you find you're able to bring learnings across from one industry to the other?
Yeah, absolutely. We bring learning across those boundaries in both directions. The other thing is that learning is becoming increasingly important. Late last year, I held a executive council, brought in C-level, VP level folks from 20 of our largest customers. And I asked them what was keeping them up at night, what was some of the big challenges. The number one challenge unanimously across the board was time to market.
Right.
And so they said anything that can possibly be done to help our MPI, new product introduction, end to end, get to market faster.
Yeah.
We have a heavy focus on that. So that's why this learning and the tight bond between becomes critically important.
Yeah. And in answering that question, are we then looking at things like digital twin, again, about, maybe prototyping in the virtual world before we do in the real world and getting some iterations out of the way in that area? How does that all work?
Absolutely, because the second item that they said is the same time we're dealing with trying to get to market faster, there's an explosion of complexity that's happening.
Yeah.
The products are more complex, the markets are more complex. You have the consumer element now coming into electronics, right? So that provides all of these things around fickle demand and
mass customization.
Exactly. To supply chain complexity, right? They're increasingly doing a combination of outsourcing their manufacturing to internal. So they recognize that because of time to market, because of the explosion of complexity, they can't simply do things the way they used to do them. Yeah. So this is where digital twins and some of these doing more things in the virtual world up front to ensure they get to market and get to market faster and successfully.
Yeah, and this is a vision that uses what I refer to as the digital dividend. If you get everything digitized, you can see that, you can make decisions quickly, but what you have to do is protect the user from the complexity, because there's just an overwhelming amount of data for us to process. So you've got to use AI and stuff like that to do that. How advanced is your AI program in terms of creating those solutions?
Yeah, so this is a great area where the semiconductor industry has been using both AI and digital twins for a number of years. There was this whole concept in semiconductor called first time right. And we're taking a lot of those concepts and bringing them into the electronic realm. One thing we also point out is that just because you go digital doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be successful. In fact, there's been some very recent articles of some fairly large failed digital transformation efforts. And if you look at what went wrong in those efforts, we see two keys to a successful digital transformation. First of all, you got to have buy-in, not just from the executives, but down into the rank and file. The other thing that's important is you have to engage across the organization. It can't be just an IT-driven activity. It's got to have design, operations, all of these folks. And so to do that successfully, you really have to be able to bring a very broad portfolio of digital solutions, not point tools, but solutions that can tie together. And I think from our perspective, Siemens, particularly now with the acquisition of Mentor Graphics, we're uniquely positioned to be able to do that end to end. So that is something we work closely with our customers so that they understand you can start in different points, right? It's kind of a very personalized start, but eventually the vision requires a full sort of build out, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely essential. And I think sometimes we get so bogged down with the digital transformation of the manufacturing equipment, we forget about the transformation of the business processes, inventory control, purchasing, quoting, all those kind of things, which
Upfront
again
design,
accelerate time and
right?
design.
Yeah.
Yeah, and creating the feedback loops from everything else. So I think that holistic approach is essential. And I think there are two things that make Siemens uniquely positioned to do that. One is that integrated solution in all the different areas, but two, something I was discussing with David, you're a manufacturer. You've been there, seen it and done it, so that's essential.
Yeah, my mom used to always say, you never know if your cooking's good unless you try it yourself. So we eat our own cooking, right? We have 250 manufacturing facilities worldwide. So in most cases when we go and sit down with a customer and we're offering solutions, we can actually show those solutions, and within our own facilities.
Yeah, and having those flagships like Hamburg and Chengdu make it much easier to explain the process.
Absolutely.
Fram, pleasure to chat to you.
Same here.
I think the show's just about over, but enjoy what you have left of it, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.